Alright guys, we have a special guest today. I want to give a huge thank you to James for reaching out to me and wanting to do the deck profile on my channel. In case you guys don't know James, he's actually a new YouTuber by the name of HakunaMyData. And if you guys don't get that pun, well, you're maybe a bit too young.
Hakuna Matata.
But yeah, anyways, James' YouTube channel will be linked down in the description below if you did want to go check him out. James came first place after 5 rounds of Swiss with a cut to top 8 as well in Gabriel Vargas' remote duel league. And like with Cyber Dragons of all decks, like that's crazy. Cyber Dragons in 2020 still killing it. Wow, did not see that coming. But yeah, originally me and James did want to try to set this up in real life just to do the deck profile, but unfortunately COVID did get in the way, as it has been with a lot of things lately. But yeah, that's enough talking from me. I'm gonna let James take it away from here.
Hey guys, so James here to bring a Cyber Dragon deck profile, and thanks to Bear for having me on his channel. So now, as he would have said, I do have a channel of my own, so if you enjoy Cyber Dragon content, or even if you don't, if you think you'd be interested in data-related Yu-Gi-Oh videos, then consider giving my channel a try. Anyways, so this past weekend, this is the weekend before Phantom Rage was released, I came first place in a remote duel league tournament hosted by Gabriel Vargas, and he hosts these every week. Some weeks are bigger than others in terms of prizing, and this one was one of the bigger weeks. And so I came first place after 5 rounds of Swiss and top cut to top 8, and I'll do a quick match recap. So if you guys aren't interested in that, then feel free to just skip over to the deck profile section. Anyways, so the first round, my opponent just actually didn't show up, so I won that one. The next round, I went against Dragon Link. I won that in 3 games. And then I went against Dinos, also won that in 3 games. My opponent just didn't draw the misc nearly as many times as he needed to. And then I went against Infernoble Knights, which was the only loss in Swiss for me. And it was a very close match, but unfortunately I did lose out on that one. And then finally, I went against Fluffle, which was interesting because I don't have much experience going against that deck, but luckily I did pull out the win there. And then once it came to top 8, funnily enough, my side of the bracket, there were a bunch of rogue decks going against each other, and then the other side of the bracket, you had like the tier 1 decks like Infernoble and Dino and Dragon Link like taking each other out. So I went against Heroes and then Goki, and then my final round matchup was against Infernoble Knights, and this was a different player than the one I lost to in Swiss, and it was a wild match. I will be able to bring a replay of that match on my channel within about a week, so subscribe to check that out. And anyways, I did pull out the win in 3 games, and as prizing, I actually won an Ulti Solemn Judgment, as well as Gabe's new custom playmat, which looks very, very nice. It has El Shaddai Construct on it and Purple Dante on it, so I'll get that in the mail in about a week. But anyways, that's it for the recap, so let's just go straight into the deck profile. Alright guys, so let's just start with the main deck. So we are playing 3 Cyber Dragon Core, the best normal summon in the deck. Now keep in mind that the effect to search Cyber Dragon spell or trap on summon is mandatory, so that can kind of come up if your opponent has a monster effect, negate, and destruction, and you wanted to use machine dupe, then this might get kind of blown up before you get to use the dupe in that scenario. Then we have 3 Cyber Dragon Hertz, main reason to be pitched for Galaxy Soldier to go into your Nova Infinity play. We play 2 Naxxer. Primarily it comes out when you banish the core from your grave and special this out, and then Naxxer can now bring back, for example, an Infinity or Chimeratech Rampage. And then we play the 3 original Cyber Dragons, so because I am playing the Machine Dupe variant, you would be playing all 3. If you were not playing the Machine Dupe variant, then you would just play 1 original Cyber Dragon. And then next we have the honorary Cyber Dragons, 2 Galaxy Soldiers, kind of plenty. You don't need more if you are playing the Machine Dupe variant, but if you want to play 3, go for it. And then in terms of hand traps, we were playing 3 Nibiru, 3 Ash, 2 Ogres, and 2 Veilers. And I also play 3 Imperms that I'll get to later in the trap section. So basically, I would say the only reason I'm not playing the Gamma package, even though I really want to, is because I'm also playing the Dragoon package. So on top of that, and any potential dead machine dupes, I found also having playing the Gamma package could be a little too clunky, so that's why I opted to go with Ogre and Veiler instead. And I actually like these 2. I mean, technically, if you want to neg really hard, these 2 combined is like your Walmart version of Cyframe Gamma, so you have that. Next, we have the Pankratops, just because we're going second deck, and this is really versatile and very good. And we also have the Kaiju. It's searchable off of Cyber Repair Plan, and it's just really, really good to in terms of outing very problematic monsters. So like I mentioned, I am playing the Dragoon package, so this kind of sums up our final round of monsters with Dark Magician, Red Eyes Black Dragon, and the Red Eyes Fusion. On to the spells, we have 3. Cyber Emergency, the best Cyber Dragon spell card. So it really helps you search for that whatever Cyber Dragon monster you need. Generally core, sometimes you may search the Naxxer, and if its activation gets negated, you can discard a card and add this back, and because the activation was negated, you can play it again. Although if it got ashed, then you cannot use it again that same turn. And then we also have the Cyber Repair Plan. I used to play 2 of these, especially when I used to play 2 Jizukrus, but I cut it down to 1 because right now I'm trying to fit as many hand traps as I can, and cutting it down to 1 was honestly fine. I don't think there's that many instances where I really miss it. And then we also play the Rev System. A lot of players I find are not playing this card. I really like Rev System. It helps you extend through Nibiru, because a lot of times you get Nibiru on the Nova, and then you would bring Rampage out, and let's say you already used Hertz Effect that turn with Galaxy Soldier, so you're unable to get that Naxxer back to your hand by sending off the Hertz and Naxxer with Rampage. So instead, you can still send a Naxxer, and let's say if you have the Cyber Dragon Grave, you can like use Rev System, bring back Naxxer, then Naxxer brings back, for example, the Nova, and you can just go into your Infinity, stuff like that. So it's really good extender. And then of course, we're playing the 3 Machine Dupe. Like I said kind of earlier, some players, they don't play Machine Dupe in their Cyber Dragon builds, which is totally fine. I personally just like the playstyle of using Machine Dupe, so that's why I keep playing it. Also, I find myself that I go first intentionally post side a lot of the matches, depending on the deck that I'm facing, and this really helps me set up that Infinity and Dragoon, and then whatever else I may have, for example, Cybernetic Overflow, or maybe a hand trap or something like that. So I really like Machine Dupe. And then we have Overload Fusion, a really good card. It's something that I used to always send with Anaconda, but since playing the Dragoon package, I admit I generally send Red Eyes Fusion a lot more than Overload Fusion, but very, very strong card, and it really enables easy OTKs. And then we have Foolish Burial. This is a very good extender. It has a lot of uses in this deck. So for example, if you have this and Machine Dupe, but you don't have a target for Machine Dupe in your opening hand, and assuming you're going second, you could send the core to grave, and assuming that your opponent has a monster and you don't, you could banish the core and summon another baby Cyber Dragon from deck, and then now you have a Machine Dupe target. And not to mention, kind of later in the game, you could send the Hertz. That way you can use Hertz Effect to add that Cyber Dragon core or Naxxer that was already in your grave, for example. And so it has multiple uses, so it's a really good card. And then onto the traps. So as I mentioned earlier, I do play the 3 Imperms to round out the hand traps. That means I'm playing 13 hand traps in total in a main deck of 42 cards. And then the Cybernetic Overflow, very, very good card. I have another one in the side that I'll show shortly. But yeah, it can, you banish basically Cyber Dragon of different levels in the grave, field, or hand, and pop that many cards on the field. So it does not target, it does not banish for cost. And keep in mind though, if you're banishing from hand, it has to be the original Cyber Dragon, whereas on the field and grave, your baby Cyber Dragons are Cyber Dragon on the field or grave. Okay, so onto the extra deck, just the links. We have the Almirage, Anima, Anaconda, Seeger, and I played the Nightmare Phoenix. So Almirage is mandatory, really. It helps you get that core into the grave so you can activate Repair Plan, for example. Anima is really useful. So Hertz and Naxxer are level 1s, so you can go into this. So make the habit of putting the Jizakuru or the Nibiru token under the extra monster zone, so you can kind of use this to suck it up. And then with Anaconda, of course, very, very good. You can use it to send Overload Fusion or Red Eyes Fusion, depending on the situation that you're in. Very, very good card. We played this card before Anaconda was cool. So, yeah. Next, Seeger enables your OTKs. A lot of players online kind of get confused with this card. Just note that, if you were to pump Rampage, for example, with Seeger, they're still going to take damage from Rampage, they're just not going to take damage from Seeger. So sometimes they'll say, oh, I don't take any damage, but that's not true. It just depends on which monster it pumped. If it pumped something else other than Seeger, then that monster will still do damage. Whereas Seeger in itself, if you use that effect to pump any monster with 2100, or any machine monster with 2100 attack or higher, then you will not take damage from Seeger. And then Phoenix just for generic out to a spell trap. And then we play 2 Nova and 2 Infinity. So I really like this ratio. I'd like to play 2 Infinity because a lot of times when I bring back with Naxxramer, I tend to bring back the Nova so that I can go into my second Infinity. That way Infinity hits the board with at least 1 negate on board. Then of course we do play Dragoon, super strong boss monster. It makes it a lot easier for us to go first now because we can easily set up Infinity and Dragoon through Anaconda. And then we have the Chimera Tech monsters. We have Rampage, Fortress, and 2 Mega Fleet. So technically, you really don't need the second Mega Fleet. Extra deck's pretty flexible with this deck, so I had it for now. The only time it really comes up is against Salamangreat or Sky Striker, which aren't tier 1 decks, even though they are played quite a bit, at least online. So this is very, very flexible. You can play something else. So for me, for example, this was before Phantom Rage for this tournament, but moving forward, for example, I may actually I think I'm going to take the second Mega Fleet out, and I'm going to try out the AA Zeus to see how well it does. I mean, it's not nearly as crazy for us as it is with Zodiac, but it's obviously a very good card. So after some testing, I'll see how it goes. And then I do play the Mechaba because once Nova usually you get Nibiru on the Nova and you can bring out the Mechaba, for example. Or if your opponent Maximuses you, then you can also bring out the Mechaba that way after sending Nova. I mean, of course, Nibiru can just kind of walk over it because it's at 3000 attack. But sometimes bringing out the Rampage may not make much sense when Nova gets Nibiru'd. So you can always bring this out, and sometimes your opponent may have to just kind of waste their battle phase just to get over this because they just can't risk getting their monster effect negated, for example. Okay, so onto the side, we're playing 3 Artifact Lancia. Really good card against Dinos, Dragon Link, for example, and can be pretty useful against rogue decks too. We're also playing 2 Forbidden Droplet. I know it's very expensive, so there's no need to play this card if you don't want to buy it. You can just use Dark Ruler no more instead. And then some back row hate. We have the Red Reboot. I'm playing 2 Evenly and 2 Lightning Storms, as well as the Feather Duster. So pretty blow up cards here, and yeah, I'm pretty fine with this ratio. I think there's not much I can change at this point. Sometimes I do generally have like 2 additional Cosmic Cyclones, but right now I find I don't have the room for that. And then finally, some going first cards. So I do play the Summon Limit. I've been playing it for a while, and I have the second Overflow on the side as well. So if you're playing Cyber Dragons, you should have at least 3 cards in your side dedicated to going first, because your opponent is bound to force you to go first, depending on the deck they play. For example, with Dragon Link and Infernoble, I find they're just so strong going first that they're not going to force you to go first anyways, but against other decks, they may force you, so you have to be ready. So there's a lot of options. I mean, I like Summon Limit, but there's other options like Heat Wave, there's the Artifact Sanctum package, and stuff like that. So personally, I really like Summon Limit. If you can get your Infinity and or Dragoon out and this going first, that's usually a game right there. And Overflow, I like to have another one. Just being able to pop multiple cards that doesn't target, it's just really good. So, and it's very versatile. So I really like this ratio. So yeah, that's it for the deck list. Alright guys, so that's it for the profile. Hope you found that helpful. And now before I finish the video, I do have several shoutouts. So I guess first one would be shout out to my own channel, HakunaMyData. If you could check that out, that'd be greatly appreciated. Another shout out to Team Set Pass on YouTube, as well as the Cyber Dragon Facebook group. If you want to play the deck, that's where you should go. And then as of the last week, I am now sponsored by Luxury Gaming. Not as a player though, I want to make that clear, but I'm sponsored to create some analytical content for them for their LCS events moving forward. And also a big thanks to Gabriel Vargas for hosting these tournaments. And finally, shout out to my friends and the staff at Game Nation and ANC Games. I certainly do miss everyone. So that's it for me, guys. Stay safe and take care.